for your forewarned weather with Cedric Haynes.
All right, let's talk about some of these snow totals. Some nice numbers for our friends up at the ski resorts here. I'll tell you, it seems like we've been waiting forever for this. And finally, we've got some good numbers coming in. Now, this is that heavy, wet snow. It's that dense snow just because it's an atmospheric river. So not your fluffy, powdery snow, that fresh pow we like to see, but hopefully we'll get some of that next week. But this week, this is good base making snow, and we definitely need to build up the base again after a snow drought for many areas. 9 inches at Alta, Snowbird, 9 inches yesterday. Brighton coming in with 8 inches, 6 inches Solitude, Park City Mountain picking up a half a foot. We had a half a foot for our friends over towards Deer Valley, 3 inches in Sundance, Beaver Mountain with 3 inches, 3 inches at Powder Mountain, and an inch at Bryan Head. Now remember, these are numbers through yesterday evening. We're expecting some new numbers to come out here shortly, and we'll get those numbers from the overnight hours to see what we added onto these totals in some spots. As far as rainfall goes, half an inch up towards the Draper area, Orem picking up over a quarter of an inch, and about a quarter of an inch from Bluffdale, Provo down towards the St. George area, between about 1/10 to 2/10 of an inch from Cedar City up towards Zion National Park. That does include places like Cache Valley picking up about a little over 1/10 of an inch. Temperatures out there this morning, most locations above freezing for us. Now you've got to get above about 6,000 feet, really about 6,000 feet to get near freezing or below. And then you've got to get above about 7,000 feet to have any real impacts from the travel conditions out there with this precipitation. As far as the precipitation goes, we had this activity overnight push from southwest to northeast, even some lightning strikes in this activity. The morning wave is now pushing into Wyoming, so we'll dry things out briefly before we see a secondary wave develop and move in this afternoon, so refiring more chances for valley rain and mountain snow. Notice the chance will also exist once again today for a couple of isolated rumbles of thunder and maybe even a couple of lightning strikes. So don't let that catch you off guard. No severe weather expected, but it just shows you the atmosphere is kind of juiced up right now. And we're seeing all kinds of weather across the Beehive State. So here's our morning activity fading out. We'll get that break during the midday time frame before more activity fires back up this afternoon. Again, valley rain, mountain snow with a couple of isolated rumbles in the valleys, and for the mountains, some pockets of heavy snow. That'll continue into the evening hours before fading out. And then Friday morning, we'll have a chance of a little precipitation over southeast Utah. But then that system finally moves farther away from us and we dry things out Friday afternoon. And your weekend, it's a holiday weekend, looking pretty nice out there, both for your Saturday and for your Sunday. We're looking at quiet conditions expected here across the Beehive State, but the storm door is open and the next storm lining up to our west. As far as today goes, about 1/10 of an inch of rainfall is possible again for us in the valleys on average. As far as snowfall goes, an additional 4 to 8 inches are possible for the upper Cottonwoods, about 3 to 6 inches for the rest of the northern mountains. The Wasatch Plateau could pick up 1 to 3 additional inches and maybe a trace to an inch for the southern mountains. So our storm system that brought us this inclement weather now and started to change the pattern is going to be pushing to the east through Friday. That gives us a brief window to get some pleasant weather just in time for the holiday weekend. So that's nice. But heading into next week, we've got a very active pattern starting to develop off the west coast, and that will slowly but surely migrate inland as we go into the middle of the work week. And that's going to bring us colder conditions and start to introduce a better chance of some wintry weather potential even down in parts of the lower elevations. So if you look at the snow map across the west, it looks very different heading into next week, and that does include the potential for significant snow in the mountains and for the valleys even to pick up on some accumulating snow. We'll keep a close eye on it. That's the trend right now. St. George, mid-60s, turn into mid-60s for the holiday weekend. We'll just dry things out before more active weather and cooler weather arrives next week. The Wasatch Front, showers redeveloping this afternoon and evening. We'll dry it out for your Valentine's Day weekend with highs in the 50s, but get ready for colder and wetter conditions heading into the middle of next week. All right, let's get a check on the roads this morning as we get you out the door for your morning commute out there for you folks. Let's take you out towards Bangor Highway. Obviously, if you've got some travel plans, you're probably wanting to know what it's looking like around the airport today, whether you're heading to or from the airport. We're watching out for some damp roadways out there, but notice no major precipitation coming down, but we're also not seeing any major impacts to your travel at this point. Let's take you down south as we look at I-15 here at Point of the Mountain. We had some damp roadways a little earlier, but look at that. Things not looking too bad out there this morning with traffic flowing smoothly and no major backups or delays to tell you about at this time. That's the latest on your traffic and weather. We'll send it back over to Matt and Alyssa.